This video is brought to you by GameMaker. And if you've ever wanted to get into game development, GameMaker does this really crazy thing where it's free. Just start making and only pay when you want to release your game to the world commercially.
It's fast, it's user-friendly, and there's easy-to-follow tutorials, plus a dedicated community to help answer even my questions. How make man jump? GameMaker is a 2D game engine that's helped bring some of yours and my favorite recent experiences to life, like UFO 50, Chicory, Anton Blast, and of course, Yahtzee's own Starstruck Vagabond.
Ooh, are we talking about GameMaker? I love that program, it's so easy to use. As well as Starstruck Vagabond, I also used it to make all 12 projects in my 12 games in 12 months Dev Diary challenge. And I couldn't believe how much sex I got out of that. None. I got none at all. Which I couldn't believe.
So what are you waiting for? Head on over to the GameMaker link in the description and start cracking away today, because we want to play your game.
Yeah, looking through this list, I'm seeing one of you made Armpit Fart Tycoon, and I've got several questions for you. Hello, and welcome to DevHeads, the podcast focused on the ins, outs, and goings on of game development with host experience ranging from indie double to triple A. I'm Jay, the indie rep here, and I'm also joined by my wonderful two co-hosts. We got Tina.
Hello, I represent AAA.
And Mikey.
Hello, and I represent double A.
And today we have two very special guests joining us today. We have Vin from Hillfort Games, and we also have Chris Jarvis from Acrylic Pixel. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, we're very excited to have you because as a lot of our Second Wind audience will know, we are very big fans of your games here. I think what was it, 4 times we spoke about it in video projects. I think Yahtzee gave you an award, and I also gave you an award.
Yeah, we got game that made you the most scared. That Yahtzee got the most scared from our game, and we got narrative, best horror design from you. I think.
Yeah, best horror design. Yeah, it was. We're huge fans of your product here, and anything we can do to kind of shine a light on games that we think are doing things differently and pushing the medium forward, we're all for that. And today, for our audience, just to give you a bit of a breakdown of what today's episode is going to be. It's going to be a little bit of us sitting down for the first half and playing through a little bit of 10 Bells, because the nature of it lends itself well to sitting down and discussing individual design aspects and repeated looks at the same kind of designs, which is going to be really cool. And then afterwards, we're going to sit down and talk about your new project, Vin, which we have a little bit of a tease on the screen here, but there's a bit of a shift in perspective. Not just from a design point, but also from a player perspective. So I'm really looking forward to diving into that. But first of all, let's get into 10 Bells. Let's have a little bit of a look.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go. Oh, normal or nightmare? I'll go normal.
Don't do it to yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, Blood Rain.
Yeah, that was Vin.
Nice. That's a nice touch.
Yeah.
It's like, I need to make the sign all bloody. I need to make rain blood. He was just having one of those days.
It worked out, you know. Sometimes you need to get that angst out. You can do it through the art.
Oh yeah, 100%. Art tanks, the best kind.
So I'm curious to know what both of you, how you divided and conquered on this project. Like who did what?
Well, Vin, you can talk about this quite eloquently, I think.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I originally came to Chris with the idea pretty early on after I watched a bunch of Anomaly games that were starting to come out, and I thought, like we could really do something like cultural with this.
That's your faces, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of Easter eggs in there. Yeah. And so when I approached Chris, like we didn't really know like what sort of roles we would each do, but we sort of split it up in sort of a lucky way, I guess, because Chris sort of tackled the original grey box for the level, while I was sort of focused on all of the artwork. So we sort of came in, like we were both designing the game at the same time, but we sort of met in the middle once the grey box of the level was sort of mapped out properly. constantly giving each other back and forth. And I was working on the art direction, and then we sort of hit in the middle to start working on the anomalies together. So we had this sort of parallel process between the two of us, and we were just constantly talking to each other every single day, and it kind of worked out perfectly. Actually, it was kind of beautiful. But yeah, mostly split between design, art, and all the anomaly design. Chris took care of all the audio. I took care of all the lighting. The artwork sort of got split between a couple of other people because we had a couple of other freelancers that came in to help us out as well.
Yeah.
And it worked out kind of perfectly in a weird way. I think we looked out on like the individual things that we were working on because me and Chris, and the reason why I love working with Chris is because he has got the exact same mindset of me, where if we don't know how to do something, we just say, we'll figure it out, sort of thing. And we don't like instantly try and find someone else to figure that thing out for us. Like we'll try and have a stab at it ourselves. And
Really?
just that mindset for the most part, like sort of really aided us more than anything. It's like we haven't really done any audio in video games before. And Chris was just like, I'm going to figure this out. And he did it. And same thing for me for lighting. Yeah. I've never lit a 3D game before. And I thought I'll just have a go at it and I'll try and figure it out. And just that mentality really, really helped out.
Yeah.
Indie, baby.
When all the physics stuff happens, like the cards flying or like when certain things fly around, that was all like the physics engine and just like messing about with it and getting it till it worked. And then, yeah.
Yeah, because you'd never done any physics-based stuff before this as well either, had you?
No.
Oh, it was just a lot of thinking on our feet for the most part. And once we had the level locked down and we started doing anomalies and I was working on the lighting, we were just constantly working in parallel. So we never really stepped on each other's toes too much until towards the end, really, which was great.
So for people who haven't played this game, like Tina, who hasn't, because of the Chaos Week, hasn't had time to sit down with the game, can you explain the kind of loop of the game to Tina for me?
Well, I kind of have
You have an understanding.
Yes. So I played the PT demo back in the day. I don't know if that ages us, but that was really cool. And it was unfortunate that I never saw, I guess, like a real release. But I'm getting the same vibe from this, from 10 Bells. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was an anomaly.
Yeah.
If we see an anomaly, we don't proceed, we turn around.
So you run from danger.
Yeah.
In a way,
From danger, yeah. Or if there's anything out of the ordinary, you turn back, and then if all is clear, you go forwards, and that's how you progress the game. So there's no interactivity with anything.
Yeah. And the bells denote success. Like, if I proceeded and there was an anomaly there, these bells will be removed. And if we're successful in running or proceeding, we get another bell. So we've had 2 successful loops, effectively. But it doesn't always look like danger.
Oh, it says the 2 bells on the top of the bar too.
Yes, because we have 2.
Yeah, that's a cool touch.
It doesn't always look like a scary, spooky danger thing. Sometimes it can be a very subtle change, which is where the paranoia sets in, and you start to comb over the environment repeatedly. As I'm doing right now, I'm going to try my best to spot these anomalies while we're all talking, and I'm trying to engage with you guys.
You're trying to talk about it at the same time. Mikey, did you play the PT demo?
No, I watched video and media of it at the time. It feels pretty recent. Was it a lot of years ago, though? Your comment about dating made me wonder.
I think it was like over 10 or 15 years ago.
Look I think it was 2015, I think it came out, maybe?
2014?
Yeah.
2014. Oh, shit.
Okay, so I've noticed I'm red-green colorblind, but I'm pretty sure the C is not meant to be blood, right?
No.
Correct.
Yeah, it's always blood.
Sometimes it might be. I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't looked. I haven't looked recently, dude.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've looked at the game. If I'm honest, I don't know what the anomalies are. So you're on your own. Yeah, well, we were quite conscious about like the balance of the different anomalies for the most part when we were working on it. That is something we had a lot of discussions about because we didn't want it to be all subtle. We didn't want it to be all danger based. We didn't want it to all be just like spooky, scary stuff. And even with the spooky, scary stuff, like we sort of divided and conquered even on that because Chris is a lot more jump scary, I guess, is the better way to describe it.
Yeah.
Chris likes the Western style, like dun, like the really like the big thing.
Sound effects.
Yeah, the bomb.
Yeah. But I'm a bit more, because I lived in Japan for a while, so I'm used to like a lot of Japanese horror and just like how subtle it can be, and just like you come around the corner and it's just something staring at you. It's just I don't know. It sort of feeds into my soul of just like absolute nightmares. So that's the sort of thing that keeps me up at night. So like we sort of divided and conquered even on that, which is great.
And you said that the design was shared, you said, right, between you two. You guys were concepting anomalies and implementing them. So what did that process look like? Would one of you have an idea, you'd come together and discuss, and then you'd kind of own implementing it?
Yeah, I mean, it was very collaborative, and it happened right from the design stage. So we had a big list in the pitch deck, because we initially pitched it to try and get some funding to make it, but we ended up self-publishing. So from the word go, we were like brainstorming ideas and writing down a big list of potential anomalies, and everything about the game had scope in mind, and we wanted to make it as small and concise as possible because we needed to release before Halloween. So we would be writing a big long list, and then we were like getting rid of ideas and then putting new ideas, and they were constantly evolving. So then by the time we came to production, we already had an idea of what we wanted to go for. And what Vin was saying before, like to make sure that it was balanced between like subtle and more bombastic, scary, and sort of creepy different ways.
So it sounds like you did a lot of paper design before you did implement. Okay, cool. What were you saying, Jay?
Can you see that?
It comes to subtleness. Yeah, this is where the Japanese horror comes in.
So this is like taken from The Ring, basically. This is like if The Ring was.
Yeah, it was like The Grudge or The Ring, stuff like that. It's like I got really obsessed with the idea of just seeing her eyes and not like her screaming and being like Western design a lot. Like I wanted to see creepy stuff like that. And it really, like when people spot that sometimes on streams and stuff, like it really sits with them for a while. It's like, that's the one that sort of shivers up your spine.
It's really unsettling.
Yes, and there's lots of that. I mean, I'm seeing. So I've completed this game and I've done multiple runs of it. And my partner Jess got all the achievements. She's 100%ed it and done all the nightmare modes. She loves her game as well. And so I know a lot of, because the more you do your runs, the more you kind of understand what you're looking for. Even though you've got a wealth of anomalies, so you don't really see the same one twice. I have completed the game, so like I kind of know what I'm looking for, so that's why I'm seeing a lot of success. But usually these things are a lot harder to spot on your first run through. But
what does failure look like? What is a failing, or is there no fail state? Do you wander until you see all of them?
Yeah, so if you make a mistake, the bell's clear, and so that when you're watching streams, there's this really tense moment where people go round to the toilet section, to the lavatories, and they can anticipate that other bell's going to be there, other bell's not going to be there. But also the portrait changes over time as well, which kind of tells a kind of a meta story. Ooh, that's a big one.
I got Tina. That's a big one.
She's not even playing it.
That's one of the ones that we didn't think was even going to play that well. We thought, is this going to be too corny? People are going to like find it scary. But
great.
Yeah, that's the one that people are sharing.
It's in your marketing
Jay,
too, right?
for my curiosity, can you just...
You can go up to it.
Oh, you can walk up to it.
Yeah, that's what I want. How do you know?
So I'll go up to it in a second. I just want to ask a question. So obviously that's not visible from most of the walk up here. Is there a trigger volume here that once passed into...
Yeah,
that's exactly how I do it. There's a lot of hidden triggers for all of these. Yeah, his hands slowly move and stuff.
Tina, do you want us to ask him a question?
Is that comfortable?
Oh, look at that.
Oh my god!
And his
What's the
facial
blood
expression.
from? Can we see the wound? What happened?
No. Well,
So
this is it. It plays into the story. So this is so the anomalies also tie into the story of the game. So there's a story happening simultaneously as well during the gameplay. So the more anomalies you unlock, and then when you find out what happens in the story, they start to make more sense because they might seem a bit unusual at first glance. You unlock items in the toilet section, which kind of tells the story.
Who did the animation for this?
That was Vin.
Vin?
Yeah.
So you did you rig that model as well?
No, so we had a good friend of mine who we worked with in our last company. He came in to work. I did the character concepts originally. I passed them off onto him. He made the characters and rigged them for us. He did a couple of animations for us. But then when we actually got it into Engine, that was another thing which I wanted to tackle during this project as well. I'd never done any 3D character animation before. This was the first time I'd ever done it. So
you did the little fingers there. Right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, great job with the fingers.
I mean, I
appreciate it, man.
That was good.
Yeah. So
especially for our first time. Wow.
Yeah, we again, it was just having that mentality of diving in, like, hey, we don't know how to do this. We haven't got the time, the budget, or like the anything to. So we just needed to be quite bullish about figuring stuff out ourselves, and 3D animation was one of them.
Did you name your friend? I just want to make sure you give him a shout out.
Oh, Justin Phillips.
Justin Phillips.
Yep, he appears in the credits as well. Yeah, he's really talented guy.
Yeah. Sorry, Mikey. You were gonna ask something.
I was just gonna ask how you taught yourself then, like what that process looked like when you realized, as you said, shit, we got to figure this aspect out. Let's do it ourselves.
Yeah, I guess it was the usual sense, wandering around YouTube a little bit, trying to figure out like other articles that people have done on it. I'm mostly just trying to like poke around and figure it out, and because thankfully Justin had done a couple of animations for us, like there was like walk animations that were done. And he gave us some blend shapes for our character models as well, which was awesome. Like we had all these different facial expressions that we could use to tap into. So he sort of set up the groundwork for me to be able to just go in and figure it out. So I sort of skipped half of the step, thankfully, so I could just get straight to learning the animation bit, which was awesome. Like that really, really helped out. Because if I had to figure out the rigging and like weight painting and things like this, I think it would have slowed us down astronomically. Oh yeah, that's the part which I hate. That's why I've never done it. Because it's like I love 3D modeling, but I hate UV unwrapping. And
dude, me too.
Yeah, I love animating, but I hate rigging and stuff like this. So it's always the in between stages which I've always struggled with. So Justin sort of filled that in for me, which was fantastic. It was a blessing that we had that, because when we actually came to it, it was just me playing around, making it more creepy and adding those cool subtleties which we were constantly talking about when we were designing these things, which was really cool.
Look, he's fine now. The bartender looks okay.
He's absolutely fine.
Poor Arthur. He's had a bad rap.
I mean, he looks like he's been through it. Just for listeners to understand, so when a character model's done, you hand it off to what some studios call a tech artist or a rigger. Oh my God, something's coming through the ceiling. Oh, sorry.
Take a moment.
That was good.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I spotted that.
Sorry.
I'm getting close. Hey guys, I'm getting close.
Okay, so the rigger is the person that puts what we call bones in the model, which helps the animator move the model in the ways that they want, right? So I don't know how many bones the bartender had, but you had to add a couple to make those fingers move like that.
Yeah, Justin had a whole hand rig for us, so it was. I think it had. It had 3 bones for each finger, which was awesome. Yeah. So we were able to do some really creepy stuff with it, and same for the face as well. Like you didn't really do too much with bones in the face, but we had all the blend shapes, which are sort of pre-configured expressions. Basically, is the best way to describe it, with little handles on.
Yeah.
And it's a similar type of rig, but being able to animate between those in the engine was just, it made everything 10 times easier. It's really like having a good tech artist that knows how to do all this sort of stuff and make it as seamless as possible.
So helpful.
It's the most helpful thing. Like they are the unsung heroes of 3D art. It goes without saying.
Oh my God. I'm so
What do we got there? Wait, can we look at that for longer?
I don't want it to kill me. I don't want it to kill me.
She doesn't. It's all good.
We were good. You won't die.
This was actually like the first anomaly which I always wanted to get in, because I did a piece of concept art at the very beginning, and I always wanted this one in particular. Like this was the one which sort of led the idea of the project.
It's the perspective of it. It's so nice.
Yeah, it really worked out.
So nice. Get the fuck out of here.
It was so nice.
I like the breathing for that as well. The breathing starts when you see it, and then it follows you as you leave as well.
Yeah, it was one of the. It just got better as we added the layers to that one. I think like the block-in that we originally had was the non-ghost version of her,
Just
and then
cutout.
yeah, it just got more and more creepy as the days went by, because like Chris added the sound, and then we started adding effects of like her fingers were slightly twitching as well, and just all those little things. It just gets more and more unnerving. And we see a whole range. We see a whole range of streamers that will come around that corner. They'll see her and just be like, "Yep, nope, I'm out," and they'll just run away, and they get like 1 second glimpse of her. But then there's other people that are just like, "Oh," and they're just like they're investigating and
Fascinated by it. Yeah,
the whole range. Of it, it's awesome.
If I was playing, I probably would like see it. I initially thought that in the ceiling it was some dust or something because of her skin color.
Right.
And then when I saw her eye, I would have freaking bolted.
Yeah.
But because Jay's playing, I'm like, hey, go take a look.
Hey, go look at that thing. I mean, I didn't want to go look at it because I'm like so close to ringing the 10 bells on my first try that I'm like, I really want to do it, but I don't want to get taken. But a lot of the time, sometimes you can think, yeah, this is clear, this room's clear, like there's no anomalies. And then suddenly you go through and all your bells are gone, and you're like, fuck, I missed something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that hallway always gets people, I think, psychologically, which we ran into completely by accident almost in the grey box.
Okay.
We basically had that hallway there. I think Chris can talk to this a little bit more, but I think we had it there to sort of facilitate the fact that the room flips, I think it was, but we looked up on the hallway, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, and we were trying to just use few different shapes as well when we were doing the block when we were doing the grey boxing. We just wanted a few different areas, and so like wide open spaces, some choke points, and then a corridor where there's 2 different directions to look in. I thought we could, use that to our advantage. And
100%
worked out.
And also some of the anomalies you use that spoilers for anyone who's going to play this. You have a couple of anomalies that not only appear here but come out of the private room door and like chase you or jump out of it. And
yeah, you
that,
can
for me,
die in the game.
Yeah, I always feel when I get here, I'm like, oh, please, something don't jump out. And like those being very sparing is very good. I'm pretty sure there's nothing here.
Well, wait.
Oh, fuck it.
Why is he walking differently? The bartender?
That's his wife.
It's normal. Oh, that's his wife. Have we seen her yet?
Yeah, she's there every round.
Oh, okay. I just haven't noticed.
All right. I think this is clear. We're going to give it a go.
Ooh.
See, this is where the tension comes in. But we worked a lot on this as well to add this tension. That's why you go all the way around the corner, and you might not get the dopamine hit until like the bell actually rings. Yeah. And it's whenever the bell rings as well, like we worked really hard on that as well to make sure that everyone like gets that jolt of like, yes, I made it sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So we spoke about that a lot in terms of the design of the game.
It took me hours and hours and hours and hours to get the 10 bells the first time I played.
Really? Good. Oh, wow. Yeah, we found there's a big range between initially there wasn't as much coding that went into the player journey from start to finish. It was all quite random, and then we added more and more systems to make it more of a crafted experience, so that people's playtime then sort of averaged out. Some people were just rushing through, and then others were getting really, really stuck. So we worked out.
Oh no, is he gonna kill her with that bell?
I mean, usually we'd have more narrative unfolding over time. I have like turbo ran. We can look at nightmare mode.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm in, but I think Mike had a question for you guys before I scream. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah, just curious what engine you guys used.
We used Unity. We did the URP engine as well. So because we had an inkling that we'd probably be putting it onto Steam Deck as well, so we wanted it to be as optimized as possible, and that was like the best thing that we could shift over to. A lot of people, weirdly enough, we get a lot of people mistake it for Unreal, I guess, because the lighting was baked down, and we get
the
a lot
lighting.
Of people, yeah. Because I think there's this sort of bias to do with engines in general anyway. And I think a lot of people think that a Unity game looks a certain way because it's sort of held a lot by the indie scene and stuff. So like making a game that is to a higher quality made in Unity, I think that's something that sort of we're trying to cross wires a little bit there. But Yeah, I mean, my sort of take on engines in general, anyway, is just the best engine is the one that you're most comfortable with. So
Agreed.
it wasn't really too much of an issue for us. Like, I see a lot of
True.
discussion on places like Twitch and stuff, and people
Yeah.
are very, very precious about certain engines. But I'm not. It's about whatever's the best tool for you.
Does Unity have a physics portion to you? Okay, yeah. I'm not familiar with Unity, so.
Yeah, you can record it as an animation, and then it plays out again afterwards. So that was quite fun to do.
Very handy. Yeah, we could really well.
Extremely.
Chris did a lot of that stuff, and I think you can sort of cater the experience quite a bit, so it's repeatable. It was the most important thing to us. But yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't the physics engine. The physics engine recorded the initial take, and then what you see is just animations playing that recorded take of the physics engine doing its thing.
Yeah, it like bakes it into an animation. It's
That is cool.
very, very handy.
Very
And
handy.
You don't have to
Yep.
use computational power to simulate the physics simulation every time.
Tina's face.
You didn't like that?
This is why I wanted Tina to play because
This is great. Yeah, maybe another time. Maybe
Yeah,
around
you
Halloween.
Come back on and I'll play on. Oh my god.
100%.
The biggest thing about this game as well is this moment coming up, which I don't want to really give spoilers away, but this is something Vin had in his mind from
Day one.
day one, and it was something that Exit 8 preluded to. But what we wanted people to have was this moment when they see the writing on the wall, and then they realize what that writing is, and then that sense of then playing on after you've quote unquote finished the game.
Yeah.
So this is just an ending that's happened.
Who's
Yes.
is that one of your friends, a colleague, or is that just random art?
Oh,
That one, yeah.
the lady. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was just painted out. Thankfully,
Oh.
I've got a background as a concept artist, so I was able to paint everyone's faces pretty effectively.
Yeah.
I think it was like a combination of stock photos and other things like that. But
You
then
painted that?
over. Yeah, well, painted over, I should say. I
Yeah.
didn't paint it from scratch or anything, but yeah.
with when it was showcasing here, did I see the woman in their hair like clambering up in that corner?
There's three spooky things on the intro, and most people can see one or two, but no one really sees all three.
Oh, there's three. I only saw
Three things,
saw
yeah.
one.
But it's good because like every single time someone plays it and they get to this section, someone always spots one of them, So like we did it on purpose, and they're all very subtle. But it's always for those people for the first time playing. Wait, did I just see that? And then they carry on.
Just had that moment.
Right, and
Crazy.
it's awesome. Like it's just planting that seed for something. Okay, something's not quite right here at the moment. So it's awesome.
All right,
It worked out great.
Let's speed up a tiny bit. Let's see if we can see some
Do a speed run.
more speedrun strats. Let's go.
We did find some people
Alright.
do that, and they didn't have as much of a fun time playing the game. And it's tricky
Speedrunning?
because it's an emerging genre,
Shocking.
and so why not play it that way? We didn't know if that would be fun or not, but yeah, turns out if you speedrun it, you don't really have a good time.
Yeah, we
just
were
get frustrated.
we were actually debating putting in a game mode for speedrunning, and I was really close to implementing it. I got halfway through doing it, and we were going to do an anomaly rush speed mode where you had like less than a minute in each section to find the anomaly, and if you failed to spot something, then the ghost would chase you either out of like through back the way you came, or you have to progress forward. It was one or the other.
Yeah.
And just having that speed run side to it, I still think that could be quite fun. But after we started getting feedback from people and sort of watching people play the game, and they were much more interested in, the slow progression of wandering through and creeping around corners and the psychological impact of the game. I think that was way more important.
Agreed.
I have a silly
you missed it
request, Jay.
subtly. Yeah.
The branding on the bar, those beers and stuff.
Acrylic.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hillfort.
Classic.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's
And
a
you can
helpful
zoom in as well.
helpful-
There's a zoom button. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
And then
those look like great fake brands.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Make it nice.
that's Vin's decade of experience.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many Easter eggs in the game. There's like a Hillfort whiskey bottle in the background, which I've got. There's an acrylic pale ale. The beer mats have got all of our names on them. The pictures are often, things like that. I love that sort of stuff. Like all the people that worked on the game, like Lamont was the dude that helped us out on the environment. He came in for a couple of weeks to work on just key props that we needed, like the bar asset, the bells themselves. Like he worked on those, so he gets to be a man. You know, it's just I love that stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really love that stuff. It just celebrates the devs that worked on it, and
Oh,
you know, it's awesome.
makes it so personal.
It's always fun when you get to put yourself or your like name or face in a game like this, and I love how you guys did this.
Yeah,
That was, it was a surprise. Vince just did it off his own back. I didn't really get a say.
I mean, we were going so fast. Yeah, we were going so fast. We didn't really have time to stop. But I did try and make time as much as I could for the Easter egg stuff because it does make it more personal. It makes it a bit timeless for us personally. Because whenever we go into it and we see those things, it's like, oh yeah, like this was awesome. It was a great experience to make it. So
we got our partners in there as well, which is great because they suffered a lot of missed weekends and late nights. We were doing like 13-hour shifts and things. And,
you were crunching on this, huh?
Oh yeah.
To make that Halloween deadline.
Yeah.
It was in I think it was in June we started working on it like properly. Or it might have been the month before that. I'm not too sure.
So
but we hit
this
the ground
in 4 months.
3.5. I think we clocked in from start to release. We had 3.5 months to finish it.
Wait, but the whole paper design part isn't a part of these 3.5 months, is it?
We had a pitch where we'd researched the engine, we've researched the pub packs, so we've done a bit of research, beforehand.
So that was like, well before the 3 months, right? 3.5 months.
That would have been
like maybe
May,
a week.
I think it was. Yeah, it was like a week or something. We hit fast, pretty much. Like we when we started, from the time that Chris was in Grey Box, sort of figuring out the game loop, to the game starting to get art, like. We were, I think we got to like 2 weeks and we already had like a working version of the level of what you see right now, and it was pretty much locked into what it is. So by the end of the first month, we had, I think, about 5 anomalies finished. All of the artwork was mostly into the engine, and we were just piling in.
That doesn't happen that quickly without all of you just saying like, yeah, cool. Like in the meetings where you're sharing work, right?
It was mostly because of a trust thing that me and Chris had. Like we just trusted each other. So like it wasn't like we had a discussion about anomalies sort of thing. Like I would come online because Chris's time difference is different to mine because he's in the UK and I'm in the US. I would come online and Chris would be like, I made 2 anomalies. What do you think? And then I just play them or try them out and look at them like, yep, no, sort of thing. And we just have a conversation about it. It wasn't really, let's have a conversation about what we're going to do. It was more about, this is what I did do. What do you think of it? Because we set up the systems in a way where we could make anomalies really, really quickly.
Oh my God, what was it?
Don't worry about it, Tina. Don't worry about it.
Just don't look back.
Wait, I had to look. You have to look back. Look back.
Yeah, you have to look. I want to know what
it is. Oh. Okay, for listeners, I think that was what the woman coming, just floating through the air at you.
Yeah, that was so.
The revenge.
Oh, sorry.
So, one of my favorite memories of this game was my playthrough was great, but watching my partner try to 100% it. When she came in doing a run, and she was looking around, and she was. Remind me, guys, of like one of your hardest achievements is like how many bells do you need to get in a row? It's like
25.
Is it like 25? It's like quite a few. And she was getting close to the end, and she was looking around, and she was like, "I don't think there's any anomalies." And I said, "No, that beer glass is in a different place." And like this beer glass moves. Like I can't remember, like an inch or something, or like something silly. Like it's maybe not an inch. That's an exaggeration, but it's a really small change of this beer glass. And I spent so much time in this game, I just knew that it moved.
I've got some bad news for you. The beer glass never moves.
What is it? The mat that moves?
This conversation was talked about and designed. And
we had a
ordinary reaction.
There's a reason why the beer glass is there. The beer glass is there is because the pumps move, and we needed something. We needed something next to it so people's eye would change, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, something like the beer glass has moved." But 9 times out of 10, they don't actually spot that the beer pumps have moved. They just know that the glass is in a different configuration of some kind. But this sort of speaks to something that we saw early on, which the Mandela effect in this game is crazy. Like the amount of times
yeah.
people are absolutely convinced that they think that they know something is a certain way. Like the amount of comments that we got from people saying, "Oh, like Arthur's glasses are missing."
Yeah.
Arthur's never had glasses.
He's never once
Not
had
once.
glasses. Never in the designs, never happened. But people keep...
There's one of the anomalies is his mustache, right? He doesn't have a tash in one
That
of
was
his...
from the Mandela effect as well. People kept saying, "Did he always have a mustache? Did he always have a mustache?" So when we did Nightmare Mode, we then added those ones that we'd watched all the streams.
I see. That's a Nightmare Mode one.
So then in Nightmare Mode, we were like basically doing what are the people gonna want to see and what are people not gonna want to see, and the streams informed what we could then do when we did updates later after release.
Right, because we intentionally threw a lot of red herrings into the game as well when we were first designing it. So on the bar, there's a white stool in the middle of them.
I didn't.
Help! Help!
Yeah, just keep running. You're all good. But there's a bunch of small things like that where like the stool is a different color, or we've got one chair that's up, or we've got like some of the beer bottles are backwards and things like this. So people will be wandering through not knowing that those are always in that configuration, but we're just throwing them red herring so they constantly think that it makes them overthink almost to the point, and that just adds to the paranoia.
We also noticed we never went in the doorway once when we were making the game, when we were playing the game, and then everyone rushed to the doorway, like the front door, and we thought, oh well, we've got to do something there now because there's only one sort of a little anomaly to do with the door. Like, but the fact that people were going right up to the door to see if they could walk through it, which again is a normal thing when you don't know there's no interactivity in a game. Why not walk up to a door to see if it opens?
Right.
Like, so we had to use that as well, that area.
I remember these pictures. I don't know why. Every time I was convinced once that they were different.
Yeah.
And then it ruined a run for me because I was just like, no, they weren't. And then I went back and saw they were the same, and I'm like, oh, so they've always been like that. And like you said, it's the Mandela effect. I'm obsessed with the fact that the glass never moves and it's the pumps. That blows my mind.
Jay.
And there's certain background elements as well that people never saw. So there's one to deal with the spoiler alert. There's one to deal with the carpets, and we started off, and I thought it was going to be too obvious, and I thought, oh, it's going to be so obvious, people are going to see it. And when we launched the game, hardly anyone got that, so we had to keep ramping up how obvious it was until we then had to add some blood somewhere, just so there was something different that was added rather than changed. So we found that people don't notice when something changes. When something moves or when something's added, people notice. But when something changes that already exists, it's much, much more harder to spot. So
I do wonder if part of that is due to the fact that there's, at least for me right now, there's a little bit of actually quite a lot of anxiety, right? Because you just don't know what's going to happen. So I don't want to like just look down and say, oh, that carpet's there, and check on it next time. Ugh. More like, where's the...
I think that there is something to be said to the whole. I think that's why anomaly games work so well, is because because you are trying to spot differences. So everyone's about the micro details, but in the corner of your mind, like, okay, something could come around this corner in a minute, but I still need to look at every single one of these coasters, sort of thing. And there's something like the psychological impact of that. It just builds this paranoia as every stage that goes by. And we've seen people that come into the game and they don't really enjoy the experience on their first like couple of runs around the pub. Like, I don't really get it. But then as it slowly ticks by, they get more and more paranoid. And then by the end of the game, they love it because they're just like, oh, okay, now I get it. Right? It didn't hit on that first round, but after a few, like the paranoia level is building off that. They're just staring at like, okay, did that coaster move? I don't know. And that's where the beauty of it really comes through, I think.
Well, I think what's interesting as a player is that when the geo and layout remains the same, my eyes always want to go to those next areas that I need to move to, rather than...
No!
Oh, I don't know what's happening.
I missed one.
It was obvious.
Oh, was it? Wait, was there... I thought I heard crying. Was it a crying thing?
No.
Were they crying?
I don't know what it was.
That might be in my brain.
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
So there was a stool following you around,
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't spot the
and
stool.
you just walked past it several times.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
Okay.
that following still, that was all Chris. That was great. That was
Love
such
it.
a.
Is there any
It's one of the favorites.
inspiration there, or just in general, from SCP? Because there is an SCP specifically, I think, of a chair that just appears whenever you want to sit down.
No, that came about because we figured out how to use the nav mesh. So we got the nav mesh working in the game, and so we could have Clara the ghost following you and not clip through the walls. And then I just thought, well, I need to use this nav mesh again because it took me quite a while to kind of
You've got it.
finagle it.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, how else can we use it? And so then that's where
stool came in.
the idea of the stool came in. And then you just reuse the same script that Clara's got, but it's just not as extreme.
It's a thing that often happens in design. Is like, okay, we have this system that does this thing and it does it once. Why not try to do it 2 or 3 times? We have it, so use it.
Yeah, Vin was very good. He's drilled into us to reuse
I missed
scripts.
one again.
Oh, did you
Just
do
bad
that
at the
one?
game. That's all. You're just bad at it. You just need to get better.
Oh, you're
I'm
so
gonna take
right.
this,
I definitely didn't just one tap it.
I want to take this opportunity to request that the grandfather clock follows you as an anomaly. In your...
There is a grandfather clock anomaly.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Two of them.
Two.
Two of
There
them. I
has
think.
to be. You can't put a grandfather clock into a horror game and not have it do something scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, we were just like trying to be as smart as we could with every mechanic that we put into the game. We tried to use it in multiple ways, but not like the same gimmick. We try and mix
Sure.
it up a little bit. So even though we had the nav mesh and Clara could chase you, we then we could put other things that chase you in, but like the stool was just a stroke of genius because it is funny. Like the amount of people that are walking around like I can hear something, but I don't know what it is, and then they turn around and the stool's just stood right there in front of them. They're like, no, there's nothing there, and then they just carry on. It's like the stool is like it. And I think
Yeah,
at one point,
I just did it.
I think Chris at one point had to make it so when you turn around, there's like it's following you, and then it comes to a stop just as you turn around, sort of thing.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's got a subtle,
So you
sort
get it
of
out
feel
the corner
to
of your eye. Yeah.
it. Right. But
That must have
it
been
was
hard.
fun.
Was that hard to get that just right?
No, it's kind of easy.
Feeling a little bit of motion. Yeah.
It's got a there's a special box to like deceleration speed, and so just finagled with that for a little bit. And then it's hooked up to the viewport of the camera. So when the camera's detected that it's within the shot, that then triggers the
Interesting.
deceleration.
The deceleration.
Yeah.
So it was all
Yeah.
just with the system. Yeah.
Just for the listeners' sake, I do want to dive in a little bit into explaining what nav mesh is in layman's terms. So when you have the gray box or the geo laid out in a level, Mikey, do you want to take the opportunity? But from what I understand,
No, go
nav
for it.
mesh
Yeah,
is like almost like an invisible layer to the player that you put on geo or blocks, and it sort of informs the engine, hey, this is where the player can do certain behaviors, like they can mantle this area and we're going to put the mantle nav mesh, or this is an area where we don't want anything penetrating through it, right? Collision. Am I doing a good
AI
job of
too,
explaining this?
you know,
and AI.
Yeah. For in my experience, it was more a lot of the effort into having your nav mesh, and a lot of the thing that would dictate it was AI, where you wanted them to be able to go. And then within that, you would place things like, I know in Sandstorm we had cover nodes where a guy would go and then
where you
take
can
cover
take
and
cover.
then shoot at you. Ambush nodes, right, where they would sit there and then just like wait, maybe talk to you or respond to you if you tried to talk to them, that kind of thing.
Yep.
It's an area where you put stuff that moves, I guess, is the simplest way to put it. And by the way, a gray box, for people who don't know, is just like a very simple, completely undetailed geometric shape that is the foundation of your level. That's what I mean when we say geo. It's just
Usually made up
it's
of
just like
gray
a bunch
boxes.
of blocks.
Yeah, it's the color gray. Think of like Legos just put together. to
It's not very scary. It's just blocks.
Yeah.
It's pre-scary.
Yeah, I have an expression which I always annoy people with, in like on Twitch streams, and I annoyed the hell out of Chris with it all the way through. But it has to work before it looks pretty, is what I always say. And the whole grey box side of it, I remember at one point Chris was trying to like make it pretty like for 5 minutes, and I kept shouting at him. I was like, "No, leave it alone! Stop trying to make it look pretty. It has to work."
Yeah,
That's super important.
phrase
man.
I really
Yeah.
like.
Well-
Phrase I really like is make it exist first, make it good second.
Nice.
Like
Yeah.
it needs to exist before you can make it good. So just get it down. It's like with writing, with game dev, with anything, you need to have a thing exist before you can polish it.
Yeah, I agree. with that.
It could easily be wasted effort, right? Like you make something absolutely beautiful, and then it just isn't fun. It has no place in the game. It doesn't contribute. It's buggy. It can happen very easily. So you got to be disciplined about that.
Yeah, I was putting like little spheres on the pool table.
Yeah,
in
to
the grey
represent
box.
balls, and I was getting angry
Yeah,
at him.
I didn't need to.
I wasn't
but-
really, but it was funny.
What's
It
wrong
was
with
mostly-
the
it was
spheres?
mostly-
Too much detail?
Yeah, pretty much. It was like, no, they don't
I
need
guess
to do
you're
that.
right. All you really
just
need
do
is,
just do a
like-
box.
You don't need legs. You just need a floating rectangle. To,
Exactly. Yeah.
collide with the player. So I see what you're
Right.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was mostly about the mentality behind it, which was
No,
getting the game in and making it work, because we
You
were
were
we were shifting a lot in the beginning.
And you had 3.5 months, which is
Right.
nutty, by the way.
That is insane.
Why was the timeline so short?
I'll let Chris answer this one.
Well, it was serendipitous as to when we both found ourselves without employment. So that was part of it. And then it was then Vin seeing Exit 8 and watching all the Japanese streamers and see that game like blow up and just get so huge.
Which game? Exit A?
Exit 8.
It 8.
Exit 8. Okay.
Yeah. So this
Look it up.
was hugely inspired by Exit 8, where you're in the Japanese train station and you're just walking through the corridors, and then creepy things happen. So it's a similar sort of nuts and bolts, the same sort of way you play the game.
Yeah.
And so we were heavily inspired by that. Vin saw that it got really huge, and we thought we could do a similar sort of game with if we put two people's heads together, we were able to create something similar. And then we thought the cultural thing that makes Exit 8 special is that it's a Japanese dev making a Japanese game in a Japanese environment. So we thought, well, we could do a British pub game. Vin grew up in a pub.
You grew up in a pub,
cards.
or
I
you
did.
mean like going to?
Yeah, I'm not like a crazy drinker, but there it is. Yeah, I mean, my parents ran them when I was a kid.
Oh, okay,
so
right on.
we moved
Yeah.
around a lot, so I know them quite intimately.
Yeah.
And I think that aided with the environment design quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just
And I've
small
been in
little
a few
details
pubs.
like beer mats underneath tables and things like that to keep them balanced. Things like that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth. Go ahead, Jay. Oh, I was just gonna say, it's so beneficial to pay attention to what's really hitting in other countries, right, outside of the one you live in.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
like the thing that I was really conscious of when it came to Exit 8, because I saw a lot of Japanese streamers play it before it really hit the West, and then we started seeing other spin-offs of different Anomaly games, and I realized this is becoming a genre. It's not just this one game. Like I think Shinkansen Zero came out, which is another similar Anomaly game, and it just hit me like, okay, if we're going to jump on this bandwagon, like this could fizzle out really quick, and we don't know. So like if we're going to do it, we need to do it soon, pretty much. And we originally, I think we carved out 6 months for ourselves to finish the game, and within the first month, we realized that it was going twice as fast as we thought, because we were just working so well together. The game was coming together. We had a good sort of grey box, and we were just it was just plowing through. So we ended up speeding up a little bit, and instead of it coming out on Halloween, we decided to release it in August to give it a bit of leg room, so we could have time to sort of fix any bugs, change anything that we needed to change, add any other features. And that's what we ended up doing. We added a whole new game mode, and then when Halloween came around, that sort of gave it the best chance that it could.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty uncommon to be ahead of schedule that much and be like, hold on, we're going very fast. Things are going well.
Well,
Yeah, it's never
financially-
happened for me.
Yeah, financially, it kind of shot us in the foot in a way. Potentially,
Right.
We don't know how the launch would have gone if we'd have launched later during Halloween, but we launched with 400 wish lists, which, if you watch any Chris Zukowski marketing videos, that basically means there's only so well the game can do. Like, there's only 2 weeks that Steam sort of shows the game,
Right.
and then afterwards you're kind of, oh well, good luck to see what you can do. So so even though we got these awards from Second Wind, which is absolutely amazing, initially before that we thought that we hadn't done very well because the game didn't really perform very well financially before Halloween, and we got really big streamers to play it. Like Queso played it, and Gab Smolders played it. Fusa played it. So we had some really big streamers play, and it didn't really move the needle at all. And it wasn't until we gained
wish lists, but we didn't gain sales, which was an interesting sort of thing that we observed. But like we learned a lot of lessons on the marketing side, I guess.
Yes, definitely. And we even launched a demo to see whether or not that would shift. We thought maybe it's people just not wanting to jump on. Maybe it's because it's an emerging genre that people weren't sure about it, and we were two unknown devs that hadn't done anything together before, so we didn't know what was causing that problem. But things seem to be turning around since we got all those awards and all the videos from Second Wind Group. So they really, you guys really helped us.
You actually really made it.
Mortgage.
You gave us an extra month of like mortgage payment, like each. So that's good.
Hey, anything we can do. We're really impressed with what you guys are doing, and anything we can do to help put a spotlight on games that are really doing something interesting. That's all what I think here at DevHeads and also with Design Delve, my show. Like, it's what we're about, right? Because it's so difficult to branch out in this market we're in at the moment, especially as an indie. Right. It's so difficult to get eyes on your games, and like you said, even with some really big streamers playing your game, it wasn't really moving that needle at all. And it's just a shame that we're in that environment where so many games are being released. That it's hard for what I think the good games like yours to truly get the spotlight they deserve. It's difficult.
Yeah. And we still don't know if it's just like an anomaly game thing either. That's the other side to all of this. Like we don't know if it's just like the marketing wise, like do gamers enjoy watching their favorite streamers play this game, but they're not interested in playing it themselves. Like they just like to see the reactions from their favorite streamers. Like these are the sorts of questions which we go around in circles and quite a bit. Enjoy the puddles.
Jump in one.
Like, go for a swim. Just you can walk into them. It's fine.
That's interesting that you say that.
Oh. All right.
Someone eating your face?
Well, you got to keep
Is
it
that
casual.
another face eating your face in the blood pool?
So that was you dying, right, Jay? You just died?
Yeah, I've died.
Okay.
That was Vin. That was gone.
Did you know Vin? Did you know he was trying to kill you, Jay?
Yeah, I've seen that one before.
I think as developers, it's fascinating to think of that particular issue where people are watching streamers play for their reactions and they want to feel like it's a social experience rather than a solo experience. And maybe there's something tangibly there that you can tackle if you ever make another anomaly game. Like that would be an interesting problem to try to solve.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's emerging. So the sky's the limit with where it can go, I think. Yeah,
networked multiplayer seems like another great thing.
Twitch integration could be a interesting way of doing it, where the audience controls some of the anomalies that happen. It'd be difficult because there'd have to be a lot of prompts and commands you'd have to give the chat, but like how on rapid water rides at theme parks, sometimes you can pay $1 to like push a button and just screw the people on the ride. Spray someone in the face.
Like, I wonder if you could make a feature where people watching you could interact in that way and just mess you up and throw like a random anomaly at you, so it's not something that's
it might even be something a bit more like subtle, well, not even subtle, but a lot more like faster than that. So something that I did see a lot when we first released the game, we were watching a lot of streamers play the game, and a lot of people have their audience connect to like sound bites and stuff, like through prompts. And just having like random sounds in it makes them jump because they're already really tense and stuff. So being able to hook something like that into the game where like a ghost just flashes in front of your face or something to like really get them, like even small things like that, I think would really captivate audiences because they just love having that interaction. Because to speak to that, like there's a lot of, I think that's a lot of the benefit of this game for streamers anyway, is that they love the fact that their audience are getting involved as well. Like, no, I saw the pool table shift, and it's like the pool table doesn't move. It's like, no, the windows are a different color. And it's just like all this crazy stuff flying around in chat. So it's always really interesting to watch streamers play it because it's always a different experience.
Yeah, before I settled on the game I'm currently working on, I had an idea for an anomaly game because mainly inspired by your work here, guys, which was the idea of a game where you monitor cameras through different rooms, but other players are playing as the anomalies, and they're effectively attempting to do things in the rooms, but then not get spotted by the cameras. So what it's like an asymmetrical anomaly game.
Interesting.
That's interesting. What, with mannequins, they could walk around and be the mannequins.
Kind of mannequins, or like they could possess certain objects. And I didn't get like too far into like prototyping it because I was just like, yeah, I'm mainly going to be working on this game with a small team doing a multiplayer project. As much as the program I work with, who's incredibly talented, is amazing at doing multiplayer experiences. It's a lot to do multiplayer stuff. So I was like, yeah, let's go on a smaller project. But yeah, I thought that could be a way you could get multiple sales on the same game and have also Twitch interactions and stuff, because you could play it with the viewers and stuff like that. And just thinking about different ways to do the genre, because like you say, it's emerging. There's lots of different things we can do.
There's so many different things. Like me and Chris have had endless discussions about different ways that this could even go. Even having like a multiplayer aspect of this, where it's like 3 people running through the pub, and just make them way more subtle, or you could even add that and make it so one of them is almost like an Among Us style thing where they're trying to like mess up the other two and nobody knows who the imposter is that's trying to set like just weird stuff like that, like there's so many cool things that you could do with it, so it's just a matter of time
100%.
I love trolling my teammates in multiplayer games. I feel like I would volunteer to be that person even if I wasn't assigned that role,
Yeah.
100%. Let me just quickly check something. Oh, sorry about that, Eric. I didn't see your ping. Hopefully everything's been all right. I think because we're about an hour in, I think it might be time for us to put the bells down for a moment. And
I kind of don't want you to.
Tina, this game's really good. There's a reason we gave it so many awards.
I know.
I keep talking about it.
Goddamn.
It's really, really good. But you have another project you're working on, correct?
Yes.
I do.
Beautiful. Eric, are you able to transition to showcase some of that, and then I'll give you, just for a little bit before we jump into the discussion, just give you the floor to just talk about what it is and your vision for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Should I let it come up, or do you want me to just dive straight in?
I think it'll be 1 second before it comes up, I'm sure.
Come on. All right, cool.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, so I'm working on a new game called Long Gone, and this is sort of an adventure game, which is a sort of set in this post-apocalyptic world. Obviously, a lot of inspiration from things like The Last of Us and things like that, but it's meant to be like a modern take on sort of an adventure game, and I mean that in the traditional sense of not just point and click, but also things like Another World, sort of mixed in a little bit with games like Gone Home as well, where it's a lot of inventory stuff. But the main premise of the game is that the environment is the main character, and that you are sort of searching and exploring through this neighborhood, that's been long abandoned, and through the items that people have left behind, you're sort of exploring the web of a narrative which has happened between all these houses from the people that are no longer there, hence the name Long Gone. And it's just about trying to fill in that space of really letting the environment tell a story as much as I can, because traditionally I was an environment concept artist. That was my sort of background, and I love walking through environments and just getting really nerdy about that sort of stuff. But like a lot of AAA games that are in this market, like things like The Last of Us, things like God of War and things like that, the sandboxes that you sort of run through are just for that, is to run through them. So often if you stop for a second, you see repeating assets, you see, there's not much of a story within the environment sort of thing. And I remember feeling really frustrated playing games like The Last of Us, finding like walking through a neighborhood and the houses are empty. Like there's one case of bullets in the kid's bedroom drawer or something. It's like, okay, like this makes sense, I guess. And then you sort of continue on and you go to the next area for a shooting match or something. So I really, I was, from that frustration, I wanted to make a game that sort of really honed in on that and really focused on that aspect, but also trying to do it in a unique style of this sort of 3D pixel art look And that's sort of what's grabbed the most attention for everyone that's sort of seen the game and been interested in it. It's currently available for wishlist on Steam as well, and people have been sort of showing their support on that, and it's been great so far. I'm currently streaming all of the development on Twitch as well, which has been really cool, and just trying to get feedback from the audience. And I hope to get a demo done over the spring, and then hopefully that moves into either a Kickstarter or investment-based stuff. But yeah, that's
Can you repeat the name again?
Yep, the game is called Long Gone.
Long Gone. And then
Yep,
if people wanted to follow your Twitch streams, where can they find you?
Yep, it's Hillfort Games across the entire spectrum. So I'm on Twitch, I'm on Blue Sky. I've got a YouTube devlog series as well, which I've been doing. I've done a few episodes of that, sort of covering the development of this, and sort of going through the process of how video games are made. And I have this sort of view on devlogs, which I'm not really a huge fan of, like the sort of high octane, everything's great sort of devlogs, which a lot of people do on YouTube. So I'm trying to be a bit more realistic about that sort of stuff and show the actual like struggles. Like whenever I watch a devlog and people are all happy and excited, I'm like, where's the 4 o'clock in the morning shot where they're crying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm trying to show. I'm obviously joking, but I'm trying to show the realism of that a little bit more. And that's honestly why I started streaming as well, is just to sort of share with people that are actually curious about the process of making games, because I think it's really important that and like you guys are doing, sort of illuminating what we actually do for a living, because I think there's a lot of misconception about how we actually go about this, and I think everyone thinks it's smooth sailing all the time, and they don't realize like how, like, just talking about the financial side of things, or like is it a good thing to always go with a publisher, is it, like trying to find an investor, like all of these sorts of crazy things that we don't really talk about. I think shining a light on that sort of illuminates a lot of the not only the issues, but the things that really make this industry great. I absolutely love this. I can't think of doing anything else more than what I do every day. It's just the best thing in the world. But the reason why it's the best thing in the world is because we overcome weird struggles, right? It's kind of, I always describe this is like the Dark Souls of all the Dark Souls video games, is making a game. Like it's and the reason why Dark Souls is fun is the same reason why game dev is fun, is because when you adapt and overcome all of these things and you're actually able to, finish a game, it's just the dopamine hit you get from that is just like, yes, it's like it beats every Dark Souls game combined, and people don't realize that's what it's actually about, and not like just this happy-go-lucky all the time high octane thing which we always see on YouTube, it's and it's that misconception, that miscommunication of it, which I'm trying to solve even in my own little way. So it's been great so far, though.
You touched on something that I think a lot of gamers don't necessarily know about, in terms of where devs find their inspiration. So in a previous podcast, Mike and Jay and I talked about, you watch film or you watch TV or you listen to music and you go to events, and that kind of helps foster what inspires you in game making. But what you said, I wanted to highlight again, which is you played a AAA game, you were frustrated by a particular part of that experience, and you realized I can do something better. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a good thing for people to sort of go off, because that's how you know that you think like a game designer, I think, more than anything. I mean, Chris have had this conversation a lot, which is you go from just admiring projects to start thinking about, how could I do things better? That's when you know you've got like the design
There's
sort of
something
mindset.
there.
Yeah, I think that's the seed that is, once that starts to grow, it's hard to get it out of your head, because then you start looking at everything like, okay, how can I make everything better, sort of thing. Not in
It's
a
a
like
bit of a curse.
way.
It's a curse.
It really is. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's having that moment where you were speaking to that dopamine hit when you overcome those weird challenges. Like, I was working on my project recently, working on the art style and using a post-processing volume to effectively apply shaders.
Right.
And they just weren't interacting right. And I spent like an entire evening just like tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. I was getting really frustrated with like not being able to instill my vision into what I think they should be doing. And then finally I did it. And you can't describe the feeling of, like, you've overcome a challenge, you've created something that now you know that it's succeeded, you're going to be able to like give it forward to the players eventually and be like, I've done this thing, this is cool, and not only am I going to feel good about this, the players are eventually going to get to reap the rewards of this as well. It's like this really weird shared feeling. It's really, really nice.
Hard to describe, right? That good vibe you get.
Yeah,
It's
it's really difficult.
There is nothing like when people say something specific about the game, and then you've like designed it, and you've overcome something difficult to achieve it, and then they talk about it specifically, and then you're like, well, that worked. That's amazing, and it all just working.
Yeah.
And having that effect, and considering this is like my first proper game, what 10 Bells was. It's such a weird feeling, like having people be spooked. And then I never thought I would enjoy watching people get spooked, but it's so enjoyable because like I feel like a proud father of it. It's like, yep, that's my boy.
Right.
Scaring people.
That's my spook boy.
Yeah, we spoke about that a lot as well. Because I think Chris was more shocked because, again, this was his first commercial game, which is amazing as well. Like the fact that he did so well on it. But I remember him being really surprised by the fact that some of these things, which we had discussions about, and we thought, it'd be great if the player goes through this exact experience and this exact emotion when we hit this bit. That's what we designed it for. And then when he started to see it like come through on streams, he was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it actually happened! It worked! It actually did what they did!" Yeah, and it just like I always reference there's a meme from like Star Wars Episode 1 where Anakin's on the pod race saying it's working. Yeah. Like I think that gif is just like synonymous with like all game devs. Like that's how we feel every time we get something to work properly.
Yeah,
especially in horror, right? Because as you're placing it and putting it together, you are viewing it as its individual parts, its mechanics moving rather than the overall vibe and the feeling. When you're testing a scare, it's very difficult to do that. Like you don't know if that's going to be spooky. You have to see it within the context of the paranoia and the anxiety of the entire experience, and then engage with it. And
you can't
it's
scare
really
yourself.
hard to test that stuff. Yeah.
If you put a trigger somewhere and you walk into it to test if it works, and then something jumps out at you, you don't get scared. So the only way to really test it is when it's out in the wild, and then see if it actually works. And 100%. we were pleasantly surprised by some because we got them in there at the beginning, and we were just sure they would be filler ones. These will be filler ones. No one's going to jump at these. And then I'm not going to say which ones they are, but then when people do jump at them, we're almost like, you idiot! Why are you jumping at that? That's not scary. Like, it's something we wouldn't even
wait until you see what comes around the corner in the next run.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
exactly.
if you watch me play, you're gonna be like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, we did a run of Amnesia: The Bunker with the lead designer.
Nice.
And Tina playing that.
I was so
Was
slow.
a sight to
I felt
behold.
so bad.
But they're the
was
best
fun.
ones to watch. They're the best ones to watch. Because I was watching a streamer. I was watching a streamer like a couple of days ago, and he was absolutely terrified of horror games. He's like, I don't like horror games, but like he was watching my streams and he wanted to support me. Shout out to Mad Chirpy, by the way. And he was playing it, but he was so terrified of every single corner. Like he was getting scared at the logo popping up. He was like, an achievement popped and he jumped out of his skin, and he couldn't sleep that night because he was absolutely terrified. I've never seen anyone so scared playing the game before.
Oh, amazing.
But it was such a joy to watch. You know, it was incredible. But like they're the best people to watch play these things because
100%.
that's what it's all about. It's just about building up that anxiety, and then when something does happen, it's just like the payoff is great. But it was hard to test that at first. But I think that's where me and Chris work so well, because I could, like not work on an anomaly for a little while, and then Chris would work on anomalies, and then we'd be testing each other's out to the point that we could kind of get a feeling if something was going to work or not. So that was the only thing that really worked out for us as sort of like a duo team in that respect. We could sort of test each other's anomalies out. And then once the anomalies were working, then we could go back and make them look pretty. Again, back to that mantra of it has to work before it looks pretty. And it went for the same for anomalies.
Do either of you have siblings?
Yeah, I've got 2 brothers,
I've got a sister.
Okay. Do any of them play games often?
No.
Not really. No.
Okay. So here's my Tina tip. my suggestion is next time you guys make a game together, or even having them. Okay, let me start over. So, I had a younger sister that I brought in to play Call of Duty Ghosts at Infinity Ward, and she played a few games here and there when we were growing up, but she wasn't like a typical shooter player. She wasn't like one of the demographics we were trying to target, right? Oh, yeah. But I brought her in anyways. And it was so beneficial to watch her playthrough because it helped us understand how to deal with pacing, what sort of triggers in the environment didn't impact her, and then we kind of worked around that. And I feel like it made the game better. So I would love if like you got your siblings to play and see where what made them jump scared and what didn't, and then I think there's a lot of good value there because then your demographic can potentially pull in the non-gamers.
Yeah, I think Chris can speak to this, but his poor fiance.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! I want to hear.
There was this time where the game was it alpha locked, or was it we finished all the
we were in beta, I think we were.
It was in beta.
I think we were pretty close to going gold, but yeah.
Yeah. My fiance and her friend were staying for the weekend, and so we thought, well, this is the perfect opportunity to show them the game. And these two they just wanted a rosé and to binge watch some chick flick stuff, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah, more power to them.
I brought them in and forced them to play the game, and they don't play horror games at all.
Amazing.
And so they were great because they were like the perfect audience, because they weren't really gamers either, and so they didn't really know how to play. So trying to explain it and explain what to do, how to play it was one thing, and that led us to a load of quality of life stuff later on. But then also getting the reactions of the scares as well really helped us, and like things where does the sound kick in, what was sort of spoiling some of the surprises. Learned so much stuff from those novices playing the game, and they were scared, a lot. So yeah, that really worked. So, but I can probably never get to play any one of my games ever again now because of it. But.
Oh no! Shut up. Huge shout out to Chris's wife. Yeah.
Yeah, she's in the game though.
That's pretty good.
Can you guys see? Are you seeing the game again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I went around that corner and saw that hand and
we saw
internally screamed, and I'm like, I hope these guys can see what I'm seeing, and I'm not just sat going.
Yeah, that was Vin animating that hand. That was a good job as always.
That's a good hand. I'm not sure I've seen that one.
It's a good hand.
Well, did we just steal that from? We just stole that one from. Was it Platform 8?
I don't know.
You hadn't played it. I had played it.
I still play Platform 8.
I played it and I said we need to get a hand in there somewhere. People like that would be a callback to
People
that.
like hands.
So
People like hands.
What?
Yeah.
I'm watching the chat.
Like?
What were the kids like? What did you say, Jay?
What do the kids like? They like hands.
Oh, I see.
Kids these days.
So,
yeah.
Bookworm776 in the chat asks, Chris, is she still your fiance?
Yes, she is. Yeah, luckily, it will.
She survived that bout.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, if she can survive that, marry that woman. Like,
She's a winner.
Exactly.
He's a
I put a
winner.
ring on it. I put a ring on it. So yeah.
She'll put up with that. She'll put up with anything.
Absolutely.
Man.
I'm having another relatively good run. So with your new project, you've said that you're seeing a lot of interest based on the art style. Because I will say it's I got on the pool table. It's very striking. It's the pixel art 2.5D. You're really going hard with. You're more on the spectrum of 3D adjacent towards 2.5D rather than.
It's a conversation I have a lot, like, because technically I can walk back and forth, so technically it is just a 3D game. So the joke that I throw around with my community is it's a 2.75D game. Like that's the only. Like people traditionally think that it's a 2.5D game, which is cool because it breaks that expectation of when people do see it, and it's like, oh, you can move back and forward, and you can do that. Oh, that's awesome. Like it just automatically adds that extra. Like piece of interest to it. So it's a nice.
It's better to market it that way too, right?
Absolutely.
Like people,
and the game markets itself because of that, which is great.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
It's kind of wild because when we were growing up, I think I've mentioned this before in previous podcasts, but
Right.
it was always a competition with consoles and games to be the most cutting edge, artistically looking game. And now I feel like there's a
Going back.
nostalgia. Oh my god, the bell's ringing. Sorry. But it's I think fascinating that younger gamers never really had those experiences with like 16-bit or 8-bit games, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so when they see that art style, they're like, "Oh, that's different. That's cool." And
Yeah.
but not only that, like for me, there's a lot of nostalgia and good feelings that just come up when I see something like that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's really cool.
It's definitely trying to play into that as much as possible, because when you get people that come into like send me messages or emails or anything and say, hey, it reminds me of when I was a kid and I played Monkey Island, and I was one of those kids too.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, like you are my people sort of thing. I love that.
That's what you're trying to hit.
Yeah. And then you get other people that are just like the younger generation that had never even seen games like that, and are like, oh, it's really unique. I've never seen like a 3D pixel art game like that. I was like, dude, like you went around on the PS1, like it was like that's all we had sort of thing. It wasn't as, you know, like clean cut or anything, but it is interesting to what you were saying in terms of like the community of gamers that are now going back and looking at, there's a bunch of like indie horrors on Steam right now, which are trying to emulate down to even to the polygon shifts of the PS1 era, which is fascinating. Like I never
like
thought that would be
Crow Country and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Things like that.
And there's something really interesting going on there, and it's like kids are walking around wearing 80s clothes and everyone's playing PS1 style games. I'm like, what is happening? Like I feel like an old man again, you know?
I'm very happy for that, because obviously a lot of that graphical shit came about because of technical limitations, but I'm glad that it stood. And as kind of Tina's saying, like there's something to be enjoyed by it, and it's not just nostalgia. Some people just appreciate how that stuff looks. One of my favorite examples to give of this is Thief, the original Thief. Thief, like I hadn't played it when I was young, but I went back and I played it. I already like old game styles, but that one has a distinct art style that you certainly could achieve with modern graphics, but there's something special about the way it is presented in that what is now, I guess, minimalist, more blocky style that hits really well. One of the PS1 ones that I've been tracking lately is Beta Decay. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
I haven't seen that one, no.
Yeah, look it up. Rotoscope Studios, I think it's a solo dev, but that's a really good example of somebody taking the PS1 style aesthetic, the blockiness, those textures, and really embracing it, but then creating like a very modernly designed game concept out of it. It's like a sci-fi cyberpunk. I think it's supposed to be somewhat open world with some sandboxy elements. Yeah, we can. Oh, Eric's asking me to type it here. Let me just type it out. Beta Very Decay, cool. Stylized is all lowercase. You could pull up a clip of it, maybe. As soon as you see it, you're gonna say, "Oh, of course, Mikey likes that because it's got all the mill aesthetic in it." But you'll see, it's pretty cool. Separate from that.
Awesome.
I just rung another 10.
Well done.
Yeah, the style. Thankfully, the style is sort of selling the game by itself, and to sort of put it into perspective, like on 10 Bells, I think we had 400 wish lists when we released. Currently, Long Gone has about 29,000, which it's sort of blown up by itself, which I'm really happy with. But at the same time, like I know like there is work to be done, because now I've got like a nervousness about me, because like the game looks good and people are interested in it, but now I have to make a game that is fun to play, which is obviously the most important thing when it comes to a game. So it's just a matter of delivering.
Sorry, real quick. Someone's saying this is Beta Decay. We just played a clip of someone's asking in the chat. Beta Decay, 2 words, all lowercase. Look that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looked really cool. Yeah, it's really cool that people are going back to that PS1 style stuff, because I grew up with that sort of stuff. Like I was born in the 80s, so I'm like right for it.
Oh, you were? Right on.
So it's all right. And
you don't look like you're from the 80s, you know.
Yeah, we're the same age, yeah.
Really? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Okay. What year were you born? Both of you?
87.
87, yeah.
Oh.
Technically, I'm not an 80s kid. I'm technically a 90s kid, but I was born in the 80s, I guess, is the better way to describe it. Yeah. But
let me ask you guys this. What's a couple of your favorite PS1 games, aesthetically speaking?
Well, I really like.
I know mine too already.
Yeah, Wipeout. I think was.
Oh yeah.
Wipeout.
Yeah, PS1 Wipeout was just amazing back in the day, and I remember playing Tomb Raider as well when that came out. Like a 3D game, you can walk around and you can, the polygons are there. It was just, yeah, it was mind blowing.
It's interesting you mentioned that because I remember being. Wow, you just gave me a flash of memory. I'll share real quick. Playing one of the Tomb Raiders. I think it was like Tomb Raider 2 or 3, where you're in an urban environment. It's very dark and it was like scary. I don't know if it was intended to be. And I'm a little kid. It might have been raining, and you like run out. And I thought it was a game about raiding the caves and shit. So I'm confused them in a city. And then some like gunman pops out of the darkness and starts shooting me, and this scary music starts playing, and it freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah,
Like it was not something I expected to be scared by.
Yeah, I might have been London in Tomb Raider 2, I think.
Okay, yeah, it definitely wasn't the first one. I remember that for sure. But okay, yeah, Tomb Raider Wipeout. Shit, Wipeout's cool too. What about you?
I guess, I mean, I'm torn between three of them, honestly. So the first one is obviously Metal Gear Solid 1, because that was the first game that made me realize that, a game could be cinematic. Like, we never really had that before. Like, we had games that were fun, we had games that were quirky, but that was the first one. It was like, wow, this feels like a blockbuster sort of thing. Like, and trying to sort of, like, think of anything before that it's kind of hard to like get that full blockbuster experience. So
Metal Gear wild one at that too.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like playing that as a kid blew my mind. Like sideways, it was crazy good. But like art style wise, I think like the most impressive looking games are either things. If you go in full 3D, then something like Vagrant Story. The art style on that. Yeah. I think a lot of people are sort of emulating that style more than anything right now. I think that's the sort of angle that they're going at. Or things like Final Fantasy IX, like just the rendered backgrounds on that game were just absolutely stunning. That still holds up to this day. Like I heard that they might be working on a remake or something recently, and I was like, really? Leave that game alone. It's perfect. It's fine. Like we don't like just put a CRT filter over it and we're okay. Like let's just move on. But yeah, Vagrant Story is probably the big one that like art style wise, I think it was really unique at the time.
Are you using Unity for Long Gone?
Yes, I am. It could have as easily have been made in Godot, I think, but
yeah,
I think I'm just so used to Unity at this point that
roll with what you know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel or anything like that, but yeah, using URP it would allow me to switch over to any sort of handheld system a lot easier. Like because Unity has a really good exporter, so you can export out to mobile really easy compared to the other engines I find. That might have changed by now. That might be like an antiquated thought, but I was sort of trying to keep that in mind because if I wanted to release on a handheld console or on mobile, then we'd always have that as an option.
Of course. Yeah.
Chris and Tim, is there any, are you allowed to say if you guys are going to collaborate on another game in the future?
Yeah, so it's mostly around this one. If I'm able to get funding in the spring for this one, then I absolutely want to bring Chris on because he's one of the best people I've worked with on games so far, and I've been in the industry over a decade. I know, I'm sorry.
That was a real genuine hand gesture there, man.
Yeah, so
you guys have a deep connection.
Stop it. Yeah, so I would want to bring him onto this project, but it's just about doing it at the right time. Because I don't want like Chris to work on this without because if he misses out on other opportunities, then I don't want him to miss out on that. So it's more about getting this
been
game
done
in
yet,
the right
Ben?
place. I know.
No one's picking up the phone to hire me yet.
But I know, but still, the second that I do, someone will though. That's the thing, and you'll be like, "No, I'm good. I'm going to work on this game," and then like we're both broke. But the idea is like the sort of hope and dream is to get to a point where it is like a 3-man sort of squad because I really love what game creators like Acid Nerve are doing with the people that make Death's Door and Titan Souls. It's just 2 guys that are like freelancing out and they just work really well together. I find that really attractive. I've worked in AAA studios, I've worked with big teams and stuff, and I love it. Like it's awesome to be a part of that huge team that pushes that boulder up the hill. It's different. It's very different though. But when you're in a small team, like when it gets too big in a small team, which is, I know it sounds weird, but when you get to like 5 or 6 people, it almost gets bloated to the point that problems start occurring. So like from my own personal experience, that's not always the case for everyone, of course. But I really love the idea of just keeping things small and tight and not over scoping games. Like that's the main thing which I find attractive when it comes to the development of games. But like, hopefully that's the hope with Long Gone, is to hopefully get it to the point where we can collaborate together long term and be able to just carve out a small team and not overscope games, make games that are just big enough for 2 or 3 people, and then not being too ambitious, and just making good games that people love to play. But I mean, outside of that, we've of course spoke about sequels to Bells and stuff, and hopefully we can do something like that with this year. But it's mostly about, like, we're both unemployed at the moment, so we need to find a bit of stability before we can actually start tackling that sort of stuff. But yeah,
How many wish lists did you say you had?
for Long Gone,
Yeah.
for Long Gone, it's up to 29,000 now, which is
Beautiful.
Excellent start, man. And when did you announce it? When did the store page go live?
I went live a couple of years ago, but I haven't really touched the game in the past sort of year and a half. I've only picked it up after 10 Bells was finished, because I mean, you guys know what it's like. You get busy with working on other projects and stuff. Finally come back to it, and then started streaming straight away. And even over the past sort of couple of months since I've started streaming, the game has already gotten triple the size already, because I've been able to put full-time dedication towards it. And the wish lists have sort of gone through the roof since then because of it. So it's awesome. So hopefully the momentum can keep going. And over the next sort of year, which I think the project is probably going to take, it will lead to a good release, and hopefully we have a bit more success financially anyway than 10 Bells. But I mean, I can't expect the reception to be any better than Bells, because we were absolutely blown away by how positive the reception was of 10 Bells. I keep trying to remind Chris as well. It's like, this isn't normal, right?
It's
like,
not gonna happen
don't
again.
get used to this.
It's like 96% or something on Steam at the minute.
Yeah, 96 at the moment. It's crazy.
I feel like we've all got a good story of something related to, like, the rough release timing. My studio I worked for, New World Interactive, we released a World War II shooter called Day of Infamy on the exact same day as PUBG. In their early access. So you can imagine how that went. All the journalists, all the media were talking about PUBG. PUBG very fairly, kind of made people think about shooters differently, first person or third person alone. Think about how games should be streamable and they should be fun to watch. How adversarial PvP, like we sort of had in Day of Infamy, it certainly wasn't going away. But that and the sort of, I don't know, arena shooter genre, we can also call it, was becoming a little less interesting, and just so dominated, I guess it's been dominated for a while, by games like the ones that Tina had worked on. And we were a little more niche, and we did pretty well for releasing on that day with Day of Infamy. But you can imagine how it would have been otherwise, right?
Yeah, it's a gut punch.
And that shit just happens. It's it's a real gut punch. So I feel you guys on that. But the ratings need to be acknowledged, because that shows that you have something special, and you'll have it again. You're forming that team, you're learning. I like what you say about having the core 3, maybe keeping it small and just churning out really good, high quality stuff. And the wish list count that you have is nothing to sneeze at. And growing, hiring people when it's the right time. I mean, you're doing everything right, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Have you... go ahead and finish your thought, and then I have a question.
I was just going to say, and it's also worth noting that Vin's also got like 2,500 followers on Twitch now. So he's got his little community that he's growing, which is really cool to like drop in and see. And people seem to be really engaged with that process as well. And it seems to be potentially that could lead on to another sort of revenue source. So we're in this weird new world of indie game development where indie game devs can have multiple streams of like income. And marketing simultaneously. So there's no marketing budget, but he's showing hours worth of content every day, which is
it's almost, you have to be like, we've had this discussion a lot, which is you kind of have to be like sort of a small time influencer almost to sell your own games almost now. Because after and I've come to this conclusion after we released 10 Bells, because we had Queso play the game, who just won best content creator of the year at the Game Awards, and it didn't shift any units, and that made me realize, like, okay, it doesn't really matter who gets hold of this, like, we have to sell it ourselves. And as soon as I started streaming and started talking to people about the process of making not only Long Gone but also 10 Bells, we saw the sales start going up as well. Like that, not a lot, but it was like, oh, okay, like this is the new format now. Like I never really realized that we have to like be a part of the process of the marketing from day one while we're making the game. It's just the whole industry is going through a weird shift at the moment, and I don't think anyone really knows where it is. So we're all trying to figure stuff out. But I think like credit has to be like given to people like Pirate Software on Twitch and stuff, who is sort of promoting, you know, like the creation of video games and how video games are made. It just online all the time for people to be accessible to, because it's getting people interested in the process of video games. And a lot of people that come into my streams now aren't even developers. Like they've got no interest in making games. They're just coming in because they're really curious about like how it's done, and they're becoming a part of the community and really getting embedded because of that. And I think it's a beautiful thing. The fact that we've got this access to information for people to look at, it's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, I can't thank everyone enough for like all of the support that they've given me. But it's just awesome to be a part of that process of sharing all the information.
I got my start in the game industry by doing sales, marketing, and community management when community management wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed over the past 16 years of my career is that the authenticity is something you can't craft and sell unless you're completely yourself, right? You can't fake it. And I know that there's a lot of even in like AAA dev marketing, a lot of times they try to control it, and then you lose that authenticity, and people can tell, I think.
Yeah.
And you know, in the generation of TikTok kids, being just your vulnerable, honest selves, it goes so much farther than anything else.
Yeah, people turn up for Long Gone and then they stay for Vin, and that's people say that to him as like a little mantra thing.
Yeah, I mean that not by me, by the way. Like that's a bit egotistical, but
yeah.
It is a huge part of it though. Like I've built my entire career off of trying to be a space for game dev education and like putting a spotlight on indies and stuff like that. And even with the projects I'm working on now, I like when you have a following as a dev, we have an advantage over other indie devs, which is not nice to say, but it's true, right? Like when I get into the point where I'm starting to put my game on Steam and for wish lists, the odds are I will get more attention and more eyes on it than even if like there was another game that was arguably better.
Yeah,
I will probably get more attention because of the following I have and who I am, which is just the way it is now. And like I'm really happy that you're seeing a lot of success with the streams and seeing the pull that type of authenticity, like Tina was saying, can actually have. And I hope it continues to see that success because like I'm going to be following along with this because it looks like a really interesting project. And even I'd love to see like I'm an Unreal dev, like that's my baby. I'm a big Unreal boy. So seeing how Unity ticks on a more granular level and seeing what advantages you have within that engine, it's going to be really entertaining for me as a dev and to casual viewers as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dark Jackal on our chat donated $5. Thank you. And they say, questions? Nah, I got nothing today. Thanks for the conversation. And then he put 10 bells.
Exactly 10 bell emojis. Perfect.
Legendary. All right, beautiful. Well, the time is 2:42 p.m. for me on the East Coast. We've been going for a hot minute. Does anybody have anything they'd like to talk about, to raise before I wrap things up?
I would love to brainstorm with you guys at some point. I think maybe the three of us can brainstorm offline about stuff and how to help you out, because what you have, both of you, I mean, your whole crew, is so... I can't even find the word. It's just so awesome to see, and like it moves me emotionally. I would love to help out in any way possible.
We really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thank you guys, seriously, like the coverage and just like the reception that you guys are giving. I'm really sort of shining the light on it. it's been incredible. Like I know it's been a dream come true more for Chris than anything, because I know he was really following you guys a lot beforehand. So it's just like, oh my god, the worlds are colliding, sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah,
That's so
a long
cool.
time fan. Yeah, to see Yahtzee play my game was just weird. Like,
Mind blown, right?
Yeah, it's just so bizarre. Watching him for years and years.
I
think getting Yahtzee to like your game is like, it's pretty cool.
That was the thing.
I don't think he likes my games.
Yeah, we knew that like he's the dude that trashes games, and like Chris told me, he's like, oh, Yahtzee's going to play the game, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be awful. Like, what is he going to say?
Like, Yahtzee trashing a game is my bucket list, and then he came and he played it, and then he kind of liked it. I was a little bit disappointed.
And he gave you a fucking award, man.
That good.
Yeah.
Now I can trash the next one.
Yeah, hopefully
Yeah,
we'll trash
this is
the
true.
next one.
Yeah.
Jay, you got to show Yahtzee this part.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he's probably watching. He watches Dev's Head. So hey, Yahtzee, fuck you.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's amazing. I love him. Yeah, so like Tina, can you see why I wanted these guys on?
Yes.
Because, like,
I mean,
like
Mikey, Jay, like everyone you've introduced me to in this industry has been amazing. So I'm never like
the same to you. Like
Yeah.
everyone I've met in this industry has been absolutely wonderful.
Just
and,
an awesome industry. That's why. Yeah, I think
exactly.
all game devs are like really like awesome for the most part. Like that's why I love streaming on Twitch. Like all of the game devs that come in there, it's incredible. Like how helpful and kind and offering they all are. It's just it's amazing to see, and people don't realize like how much of a welcoming community it is. So like if anyone is watching this and they want to make games, like it's the best time to get into it, because there's so many people out there that are willing to help and offer up their industry experience and their expertise. So like it's there's no better time to jump in.
100%. And platforms,
people sharing,
without a doubt.
Lots of courses, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Udemy.com, go there. Start learning Unreal Unity immediately.
100%. Yeah. And there's just second what Tina says, if there's anything we can do to help. And also that extends to other indie devs in the space. You know, like I'm a big proponent that devs just want to see other devs succeed. It's like not this space of like we want our game to do better than another game and stuff like that. We all want to continue working in this wonderful industry and giving the audiences the games that we want to show them. So like if reach out, like, and we'll see what we can do. But yeah, I think cut me off if I'm wrong, guys. So I think we're all good.
Yep.
Oh shit, we're good.
Yeah,
all right,
good.
well, cool. Well, thank you so much, Vin and Chris, for coming on. We really appreciate not only your wonderful game, showing us your project, but just your time and being here and hanging out and chatting about games.
No, thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. It's been great. It's been really good fun.
It's been awesome.
Beautiful. Tina, Mikey, thank you as always.
Thank you, and look forward to
Thank you,
seeing
Jay.
more from Long Gone. We'll have to have you on again when.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
yeah.
I'd love to.
Beautiful. And as always, Eric, you're a legend. Podcast producer in the back, having to do some finagling and magic in the back, getting these 5 camera streams going. Really appreciate you,
Thank
as
you, Eric.
always. And our wonderful audience, thank you for watching. Just a reminder that, shows like DevHeads, Design Delve, and everything here on Second Wind that you enjoy is supported by our wonderful patrons. So if you do enjoy what you're seeing, consider chucking yourself over there and giving us like, I don't know, a quid a month or more. I don't know. It'll be good. Don't get that. You can't buy anything for a quid nowadays. I was going to say, don't get a copy for a week. Just a quid. That'll be fine. Or $1. Sorry, I'm American now. Thank you.
I was just about to say,
So
Jay,
much.
please, this stream is British enough. We're outranked.
That's fine. You are today. Yeah.
I was
Only today.
Just
How privileged we are.
for a quick anecdote, I was at the store the other day. My mother came to visit me in America, and we were out at the store and we were getting in the car. And we were just talking, and this dude next to us was just like, "Is this the British invasion?" I was like, "What?"
Oh,
And he was like,
Wow.
"I was at a fucking football game the other day, and the person I was sat next to was British." He was like, "What is going on?" And then he just got in his car, like shaking his head. I'm like,
We're retaking it.
like-
We're coming back.
Yeah. "We're coming back."
that's so quick and alienating. How'd that make you and your mom feel to hear that?
I felt fine.
Eric.
We're the ones invading, so we felt powerful.
You felt good. You're well
Yeah.
stocked. You're ready to come
we
in.
felt good, yeah. Had a car full of food. It was real good. It's good. Small tangent. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you for watching, guys. Massively appreciate you, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.